Joe Trippi and Stu Stevens. We are going to run through some stuff tonight because since we last met, I was not with you last week, but since we last met, this has gotten even crazier. We now have more Epstein revelations than we could even shake a stick at. We have we are now getting some of the names of the people that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi said were definitely not in a part of of Epstein's child sex trafficking ring, which they definitely said did not exist. Now we definitely know it does exist. We've got Trump bouncing off the damn walls today, promising 15% economic growth, which is going to be great. That's going to work out really well. And pre-gaming with himself and his insane economic advisor, Peter Navarro, the blame game that's about to come when they release the job numbers tomorrow, which are going to be a radioactive hot disaster. Let's play that clip of Ron Vara, aka Peter Navarro, with their excuse of the year.
One thing I want to note, the jobs report's going to come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
We have to revise our expectations down significantly for what a monthly job number should look like. When we were letting in 2 million illegal aliens, they're coming in. We had to produce 200,000 jobs a month for steady state. And by the way, all of the jobs that we were creating in Biden years were going to illegals. Americans were going to the unemployment lines. That's totally reversed, and now 50,000 a month is going to be more like what we need. So Wall Street, when this stuff comes out, they can't rain on that parade. They have to adjust for the fact that we're deporting millions of illegals.
That's a good
out
point.
Of our job market.
But it's
so. Can I just so we were creating 200,000 jobs, and now those people aren't filling them because we've got them out, so therefore there should be 250,000 jobs available, right? Am I I'm sorry, my math.
I was told there would be no math on this test, Joe.
My math don't work, I know, but it doesn't make
Can you imagine anything worse than being in prison and having Peter Navarro as your cellmate?
Steve Bannon as a cellmate.
This is the kind of crazy lunatic stuff he would have been saying all night. Well, we can't watch what we want to watch on television because there's illegal immigrants out there in the cell yard, or it won't let us change the channel. But
if they're not here taking the jobs, then there should be plenty of freaking jobs, right? So it should be 250,000 jobs.
There's the lack of a connection to logic, facts, or reason with Peter Navarro has always been sort of striking. This is really the high watermark for me.
But here's the thing, guys. Explain this to me. It also it was illegal immigrants that were driving up housing prices. Now, I don't think they were unemployed or they weren't doing anything, so they're driving up housing prices.
Right. They're either welfare kings and queens or they're driving up housing prices and taking away housing and jobs from them. Right. I don't know which one is it, guys. Make up your minds, because make up whatever racist excuse you want to do for hating immigrants, Trump world, but it can't be both. They can't both be sucking off the teat of government largesse and stealing all the jobs.
Yeah, it always gets me about these sort of white supremacist guys like Peter Navarro. They're the best case against white supremacy that you can imagine. It's it's
right?
If Stephen Miller is the new Aryan race, what America should be, we'll never win another Olympic medal the rest of American history. What is just an odd? We lose sight of it. How Trump sucked up just the weirdest collection of freaks and oddballs and people that Navarro's a guy that used to make up someone he quoted in his own book as a source.
Ron Vara.
It's
the brilliant trade scholar Ron Vara said.
Oh God.
I don't know, guys. But look, if you're in DC and you're in the Trump universe, yesterday he puts out this tweet saying, "Stop being panicans," which is apparently a portmanteau of panic and Republican, trying to get the Republican Party to stop what they know is happening, which is to say that Trump's poll numbers have collapsed. The economy is in terrible shape. And the Epstein stuff is out there so much that we now know from Thomas Massey and the others who have been able to go in and see the tiny, tiny number of limited computers to examine the files. We now know that Trump's name is apparently in the remaining documents mentioned over 1 million times.
You can't get hung up on these details.
Yeah.
But they're
They're
only 3 million documents, so
Yeah. So
a third of them. I don't know.
I got nothing, guys. I do
Wasn't
like
that
the fact.
involved?
I do like the fact that Thomas Massey came out today and said, yeah, the 6 names of these guys that were involved in the trafficking ring, they were redacted, and Massey shamed them into unredacting them today, which I thought was pretty impressive, honestly. But I don't know. I mean, and I don't know who these people are, except, of course, Leslie Wexner. We know, Sultan bin Ahmed Sulayam. He is from the UAE, guys. You'll be shocked to hear the same people that just gave Trump a $500 million bribe.
You know, as someone who has been to a number of fundraisers at Leslie Wexner's house, it's like really not a surprise, you know? Let's just say that, like, you know, the people that he had as helping out with the fundraisers all seem to be about, you know, questionable age and questionable dress.
Like, had they finished their middle school algebra homework before they showed up at Les's house?
I mean, what a total sleazebag.
Well, you know, and here's the thing, you know, there's a big push on the right now to try to say, oh, Trump told the sheriff in 2006 what a bad guy Epstein was. What else do we find out today? That Trump never actually banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. Yeah. What else do we find out in the course of this new document release? That Trump was still communicating with the Trump boys and with Trump, that everything had gone back to, you know, normal, under the table, whatever. This whole world, though, I don't want to get your opinion on this, guys, to get a little more serious for a second. I've been thinking about this since this tranche of documents came out. This protected group of American men who knew who this guy was. They knew who he was. He'd been convicted in 2008. He had served time for this. He was on a sex offender registry. And there's hundreds and thousands of emails from hundreds of American influential people, mostly men, some women. And all of their emails are just so casual. There's except for Tina Brown, God love her, who said, fuck you, I'm not going to the pedophile parade. But what do you guys think about this? Like, what does it say about the moment we're in, that there's been no consequences yet for anybody on this list? There have been overseas, but not here in America.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing. It brought down the British ambassador, it brought down the chief of staff. And, you know, Susie Wiles is in there, like, fine, doesn't matter, I don't care. You know, I said this going back to Clinton, and, you know, I mean, well, obviously what happened with Clinton, it's just nothing in comparison to what has happened with Trump. But, you know, I mean, Clinton did lie to cabinet members. And I've always thought that, you know, it's just sort of alternative history. If they had resigned in protest, and they had forced Clinton to resign, then Gore would have become president, and Gore would have been elected president in 2000. There's no way that George Bush would have defeated an incumbent Al Gore. So what does that mean? Maybe we wouldn't have had Iraq. Maybe we wouldn't have had 9/11. Maybe we wouldn't have had Afghanistan. And it just kind of goes to, like, this sort of, you know, compromising. They should have resigned in principle, which is the thing that people still do in England that we just seem to have lost here. If we ever had it.
No, there's people all over the world that are being hit by this and resigning or being forced out. It's only here. It's only here, and it's MAGA, because they'll defend That's what's going on here. It's that they will come up, the Trumpies and Trump and they'll come up with explanations like Navarro's, like, yeah, all the jobs that we had to create for illegals, but now we don't have to create them for you. The same thing. There's 3 million documents. Trump's mentioned a million times. Doesn't matter. He can shoot somebody in Fifth Avenue, and he must have had a good reason. There had to be a good reason he was in there a million times. He was probably, this is the same.
He's undercover
Right.
trying to find the pedophiles.
Yeah. This is, and yes, they will do things that will, wave the red flag for the base, but the rest of America, the independents, the Latino people are gone. They don't want this shit. That's the part they keep missing or are going to, and it's also why they keep doing the authoritarian, changing the rules on the election and everything else they're going to have to do to try to steal it, because that's what they're setting up.
Joe, you've been saying this for 2 years. I mean, he's losing independent voters now. Republicans overall, they're losing independents by 2.5 to 1.
Yeah, it's huge.
Go ahead, Stuart. I'm sorry.
Is that bad? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad. That's what I hear.
Independents are down in the 20. I mean, like in the low 20s for approval.
Right.
On approval with him. You look at the questions after question and where the independents are, it's 68% unfavored, huge numbers. These are, by the way, last 3-4 cycles, it's been independents with 53-47 one way or the other. And then they go 53-47 the other way. And that's why Trump, Trump defeats Harris. It was the opposite. They were with Biden, slight numbers, 2 or 3 points in 2020. I've never seen. I went back. I don't think, look at like Carter or Nixon. I mean, presidents that were unpopular. The misery index with Carter, Nixon, Watergate. The independents never got like this big. I mean, they got big like this.
They were never this deep in the hate of the candidate.
Yeah, never.
I mean, and what this adds up to, guys, and this is why you're going to see, I think, for all of our audience who follow this stuff a lot more closely than I think maybe a lot of normies do. This is going to be an election where Trump will have to keep doing crazier and crazier and crazier things, because he is in such a deep hole right now, and there's no getting out of this hole for him, because he can't mentally make himself not be a crazy person.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've talked about this before. The standard move in politics when you do something like this is admit that you made a mistake, admit that things aren't going well, and promise to do better. Yeah. It's really not complicated. And, the reality is that tends to work, at least, for a while anyway, and with a certain percentage of people. But Trump is incapable of that. I mean, he releases this, Klansman fantasy video of image of the Obamas. And won't apologize for it. There's nothing wrong with it. And, one of the things that just really strikes me as a 7th generation Mississippian, who I could walk from my house to where Medgar Evers was assassinated. I don't think this is where most people in Mississippi are. Most white Mississippians aren't.
Right.
They don't.
Oh, God, no.
They don't want to
you
be
look
seen
at
as this. I mean, it's repugnant, and their kids would all rather be, Bad Bunny than Robert E. Lee. So, I mean, what are they? They just sort of lost this cultural war with the future.
I wrote a piece about this today about the MAGA movement is losing the culture war when it comes to not only to Bad Bunny, but to Epstein and a whole variety of other things. Because if the economy were great, if the economy was banging away, Trump would have more latitude. He would have more room to run. He would have more ability to like throw out the distractions, people would take them. But the economy is so bad. ICE is killing people in the streets. The madness of Trump I mean, guys, right before we came on the air, somebody texted me. Apparently, Trump is now preparing to come out with a major press conference about UFOs.
I didn't know this, really.
Yeah,
Really?
I kid you not. And
Well,
I'm
that'll
like,
be a distraction. You know, the people.
I mean, yeah, that will distract a few people.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole thing is just so, it's so pathetic at this point, and it's so anxious at this point. I don't know how, if you're a Republican, if you're out there running for office next year, you wake up in the morning and go, "This is going great. This is going to be just fine."
And you know, there's so when Howard Dean ran, you may have remembered this, Judge. He said that he was a Democrat. What was the phrase that he used that was so catching? That he's in the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And that resonated with people because it said, okay, I know what a certain group of Democrats, a lot of them, you know, I know what that means. I'm proud to be a Democrat. So there was a time when Republicans could rally up sort of a certain base of Reagan-esque values.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be strong on Russia. We're going to welcome immigrants. You know, character counts. What do you do now as a Republican? I mean, what? You know, I just keep going back to this and pondering it. What is sort of the ideological base of the Republican Party now? We're the pro-tariff party.
I don't think there is one.
There is one. No.
And the filing deadlines are not over yet. And I would bet a lot of money that you're going to see a big group hit the exits, bigger than we think in the next few weeks.
We're at 30 as of today. Yeah. I think, Joe, I think you're 100% right. I think that number for Republican elected officials in the Senate and in Congress could reach 50 by the time the filings hit.
And what's the law on this, that they can keep whatever's in there?
And they can keep every penny in their congressional campaign account.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these guys are sitting on a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
And
a lot of them are going to raise money right up to the deadline.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's an old fraud, but it's a good one, you know. But none of these people right now who are thinking, wow, I can't. None of these Republicans are like, you know, I can't wait another 11 months as Donald Trump shits the bed every day.
Well, you know, that's just what, you know, we keep saying this, that Donald Trump you saw today is the best Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Tomorrow he'll be working.
The only easy day was yesterday.
It is UFO.
It's going to get worse for him from here. Yeah, he'll get worse.
I mean, one of the things, guys, I've been thinking about this a lot is we see these polling numbers collapsing everywhere. When Donald Trump is now deeply upside down in the Rasmussen poll, which is the safest poll for Trump that is out there, folks, that is even vaguely like a legitimate poll. They're not terribly legitimate, but they're vaguely so. It's the last gasp. I mean, that was one thing these guys could always say to themselves, well, he's super popular with the base, but everyone else around him is absolute box office poison, and they hate him. So I want to change the subject a little bit. I know I'm going to get in trouble with the staff here because it's not on the discussion list today. Our old friend Susan Collins re-entered the race today, formally announcing she would be running again for U.S. Senate. And I just want to get both your takes on it. Stuart, you and I were chatting about this a little bit on one of our Signal chats earlier, but this is a woman, in my mind, who represents the very worst part of compromising with evil.
No,
yeah. Go ahead, Stu.
No. I mean, Susan Collins falls into that category of someone who has a great future behind them. You know, there was a moment when, you know, she seemed to represent this kind of Bushian common sense. She was a staffer. You know, somebody that just seemed like she wasn't crazy. And then, is it such a great thing to be a United States senator that you'll go along with Donald Trump and end up looking like an idiot when, you know, I've talked to these Supreme Court justices and they're not going to vote against, you know, Roe v. Wade. No. And then they do. And it's like, oh, that's concerning.
Well, yeah, she's always very concerned, like a lot of us are, you know, but just it's just always concerning to her.
She's concerned, but not enough to do anything.
Yeah, not enough to do anything.
Yeah, I can't believe, well, you know, we were talking this earlier, Rick, you know, it's astounding she won last time. And
Right.
you and I know people that worked on that campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And the morning of the election, I can say this.
You and I both had a conversation with two separate people on that campaign who were like, "Fuck you guys, she's losing."
Yeah, we gave it a good shot, but we're going to lose. I think they were astounded when she won. I still don't understand, except the woman that she ran against, as I understand it, closed the election with a good bit of money still in the bank.
Yeah.
Several
$million.
They clearly thought they were going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But can she get reelected? I really don't have a handle on it. Who is going to end up winning the primary? Will the governor?
I don't know that answer. I mean, all the DC money is behind Janet Mills. Plattner had a rough start, but he is apparently raising a lot of money online still. And the energy's with Plattner. The structure is with Mills. But Joe, you know this better than I do.
Yeah, you know this world.
The polling I've seen has actually shown it's a dead heat either way. I think the last one, the independent poll, was like 47 Collins, 46 Plattner, and 47 Collins, 46 Mills, the governor. So it's a dead heat. The one thing I would say, right now, the one thing I would say is two things. So far, in every election that we've seen this year, every single one, all of it broke to the Democrat in the race, way above where the Democrat was in the polling. Virginia, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's very
Georgia.
true.
So Texas. Even when we lost in Tennessee 7, it was 13.7 points better than the polls or Harris had performed. So if you're Collins and you're in a dead heat right now with either one of the Democrats, the independents, the double haters have all won. They voted and they've all broken 8-2 for the Democrats. So I think that's not good.
Does Angus King just stay out of this? Is that his pattern? I really haven't followed it. Does he just not endorse anybody? When he like the last time, did he endorse?
I don't know the answer to that. I think in Maine, I used to go on the Angus King show, which is he used to have me on all the time. This is like decades ago, but he is, I think, seen in Maine as a true independent.
That's why I would think his endorsement might actually.
So his endorsement would matter, and I don't, in the past, maybe out of you don't endorse against a colleague, etc. But I'm not sure that's where he's going to be this time around. I don't know. I haven't talked to him about it, but it would just stun me if it is a dead heat and he puts he goes out there. I think it'll matter.
Yeah, he's very much still he's very popular there.
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very popular. One thing I want to dig into a little bit here as well. We're seeing this wave of Republican retirements. We're seeing this very, very, very narrow majority, one seat in the House right now. What do you guys think the chances are that Mike Johnson is the speaker in November before the election?
I've been saying for like 6 months that I don't expect him to make it to November. I could end up being wrong, but I think this thing is going to. I think you're good. I'll be surprised if we don't see another resignation from Congress in the middle of before the session ends.
Right.
And he can't sustain very, very much more loss of the majority and still hold the gavel. I don't think he'll be able to. A minor miracle if he makes it all the way to November.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think Stuart, you and I have both known a lot of Republican speakers of the House over the last 30 years, and as a guy who has no life outside of what Trump wants, there seems to be just like ordinarily the NRCC is very scrappy. They have a lot of fighting spirit. There just seems to be no wind in their sails at all this year.
Yeah, I don't think it's fun because I think that the RNC has become a money laundering operation for the Trump family. There are a lot of people who had invested a lot in trying to build infrastructure for the party, and that was all gutted. And I imagine in a weird way, it was disheartening to him that Trump won because it sort of that what they have been doing really didn't matter, as it turned out. And I think that,
yeah, that's so smart.
that it's like, oh God, I don't know, which goes to the question of what is the party after Trump? This was a problem that Democrats had because that Hillary Clinton experienced, because in many ways the Obama campaign was a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party.
Sure.
And, as I understand it, the Obama world, once they got elected, they continued to build resources inside Obama world and not at the DNC.
Mm-hmm.
And so that when they left, there was less to transfer over that would have been normal to a nominee that ended up hurting Hillary Clinton. And I just don't know. I mean, that Trump isn't going to be interested in electing anybody who's a Republican unless there's a Trump on the ticket. He's going to want the Democrat to win, just to prove that
I am telling you guys, people, I am the Cassandra of the Trump universe. I got in so much trouble in 2021. It's when I said, "Oh, Trump's going to run again," and I got people on the left mad at me, people on the right mad at me. How dare you say that? Mark my freaking words. One of the Trump sons will be on the ballot in 2028.
Yeah.
One of the Trump sons is going to run in 2028.
But I agree with that, Rick. But one of the things I think, look, what happens when a party is rolling in the kind of money that these guys are starting to rack up on the MAGA side? Yeah. I think MAGA Inc. has like 500 million or something like. I mean, some insane number. Is, you know what? Everybody's going to lose, but those consultants are going to get filthy rich. I think the Democrats went through this rolling out of Obama and Hillary in 2016. Yep. The gobs of money and the consultants, the only people, maybe their candidate was going to lose, but they're going to do just fine. And I think that's where where Republican consultants are right now. And I think in that environment, particularly with the way the polling is showing, is it's just, put up a bunch of TV, make a bunch of money, and
run for the hills.
And run for the hills. And by the way, Trump and the Sons and all that, we're going to grab plenty of their share of that. I think it's like 800 million now that's sitting over there on their side compared to like 300 million or so on the Democratic side with all the PACs and everything. But Trump and the grift is going to be running rampant, win or lose. They're going to lose, but that's what they're going to do. Then they'll have the government at the same time, Trump's administration, putting ice in the streets and doing everything else that way. So those will, but they're going to be fine, and they're going to just it's not just trying to rig the election. It's rigging the financial stuff so that the consultants and Trump Inc.
The Wall Street Journal, to their credit, something I really said, has really done a good job trying to track the enrichment of the Trump family and the Trump. And, as I understand it, the Supreme Court immunity for Trump is about official acts.
Correct.
Now, if there's nothing official about getting rich in the crypto business, and if it's done illegally, which it probably is in violation of the Constitution, I think it opens up a door to go after Trump after the election, and certainly to go after his family, and certainly to go after this, just confederacy of crooks, like the Wickoffs.
Right. I mean, all of these people who are making so much money off these crypto scams. We put Sam Bankman-Fried in jail in this country because he stole about $400 million from in a crypto scam. These guys have stolen that much money just this year.
A really good point. Yeah,
they are racking up. They are involved in the most significant crypto rug pulls and scams that have ever been. We did have one question from the audience tonight. Do you think even without more resignations, there might be a motion to vacate for the speaker if things are looking bad for the election? Patrick, I think you've got a good point, and I'll tell you why. Johnson is deeply unpopular, even inside his own caucus. Nobody likes this guy. He's got no fans. He's got a couple of loyalists around him who want to keep their committee chairs, but he has no fans. There may come a day where Thomas Massie just says, fuck it. Motion to vacate. And every Democrat will vote for it. And that's that. Because there are enough folks in the Republican side who are very uncomfortable about the Epstein matter, very uncomfortable about Johnson's obsequiousness to Trump. There could easily come a day where somebody wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and says, "I had a little fun today with Mike Johnson. Bye."
Yeah, I mean, Leo Atwater used to always say you had to pick the people you wanted to die in a ditch with. Who wants to die in a ditch with Mike Johnson?
God, no.
I mean,
God, no. What a blue falcon that guy is.
Little, like, weirdo.
Also, at some point, I think even Trump will want somebody's head, and blame everything's wrong because he didn't get this done, or the Congress didn't do that, or Mike Johnson couldn't deliver this. That's and blame him and do it himself. I mean, so I think it's a great question, and I agree. That's one of the scenarios by which he doesn't make it to November. But I don't think he's going to make it to November.
And I will say this for our audience: the minute Hakeem Jeffries is speaker, the money flow for congressional races changes rather dramatically.
Yeah,
he makes a few phone calls, and if he's smart, he'll make those phone calls, and he'll call up the major donors on the Republican side and say, "Level up, need the same amount plus $1. Let's go right now." And if you don't, who knows what could happen? That's a nice AI business you got there. Shame if there was a national data center ban. I mean, you got to play hardball with this thing, and I hope he has if he doesn't get handed this thing, I hope he has the gumption to go out and do what Republicans do every fucking time.
Yeah, Democrats have to get over this. Gentlemen don't read other gentlemen's mail.
Right.
Kind of approach.
My honorable friend across the aisle.
Yeah, that's like.
No, this is what I always go back to the story. So, the head of American intelligence discontinued a lot of the intelligence gathering after World War I of the United States government because gentlemen don't read other gentlemen's mail. That same person was Secretary of War, which he actually was Secretary of War then, in 1945, and was sitting around his office picking out which Japanese cities to obliterate with nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a transition. And why did he do that?
You got to learn to play hard.
The world had changed. So I just wish Democrats could get out of, go quickly from that transition from the gentlemen don't read other gentlemen's mail to which cities we're going to blow up with nuclear bombs, and just get there quickly.
Right.
Because we'd be a lot better off if they lived in the real world. Yeah. And that is the real world.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up tonight, I want to ask both of you, what are you following? What's the big story you've got your eye on for this week and next, guys? Joe?
I have no idea. I mean, so many. No, I'm just serious. It's like, the 1 million times Trump's been mentioned, the other names that have been redacted. I mean, it's just that. Obviously, you've got the jobs report tomorrow, and I think, at some point here, the most interesting thing to me has been the open-ended questions about why people have turned on Trump and MAGA, and it's amazing because it's not the economy.
Right.
It's
everywhere. It's like 11% inflation, 6% racism, 8% corruption, even immigration. The ICE is Venezuela's 2 points. And what that tells me is that the whole thing is metastasized around Trump and the entire thing. It's not just the economy anymore. It's all of it. It's shooting somebody in the back of their head.
Which also means if you're trying to fix that, where do you start? Because there's no clear place to fix it. It's just a. Look, I got two things. I got two things I'm thinking about. Yeah. One is tragic, and one is very hopeful and celebratory. One is the tragedy of what's happening in Ukraine, and we should not allow it to be forgotten. There is a genocide that's going on in Ukraine. The attack on infrastructure next time you go on your AccuWeather or something, put in city in Ukraine and just see how extraordinarily cold it's been. And lots and lots of people are freezing to death in Ukraine. Yeah. And, the idea, if this was happening in Paris, how would the rest of Europe and the world react? A lot differently. Why is it that, a European city in the largest European country, this is happening? It's just an absolute tragedy. Ukrainians are winning this war, which is a story that is not often told. A great, extraordinary personal, national sacrifice and courage. And, when the irony of this is, after Ukraine wins this war, they're going to have the most powerful, well-equipped, up-to-date army in the world. And it's the United States that is going to be asking Ukraine's military for help,
for advice,
to protect NATO bases. So just say that. Now, the celebratory one. Today, history was made in the Olympics. An American, for the second time in history, an American male won a medal in cross-country skiing, which is a favorite sport of mine. I understand that for most Americans, it's sort of the race walking of Olympic sports. But this guy, Ben Ogden from Vermont, went out and did what hadn't been done since 1976, and only once in that case, and won a bronze medal in the sprint, which is a very tough, freaky race where a lot of things can happen that go wrong. He did it with great grace. And the last time an American won, in 1976, they had to delay the medal ceremony because the bands didn't know how to play the Star Spangled Banner. It was that much of an upset. This time, you could say it says a lot about the work that has gone into this and these incredible athletes, that this time they were prepared for it. And Ben is just represents everything that is good about American athletes. And there's so many stories that are happening there.
I love it.
And it's, there's this tragedy that happened with Lindsey Vonn, but there's a lot of racing still to be done, and a lot of Americans are still going to win.
Absolutely. Well, folks, thanks so much for watching the strategy session. As always, we look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday, where the world will still be hopefully spinning on its axis, and we will be here to tell you what the hell's going on. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all.